I'm Mel.
And I'm Janelle.
And this is the Murder Mamas. Welcome.
Welcome.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Spring break week?
Yes.
How are you enjoying kid-free life?
Kid-free life is amazing.
For a whole week?
For a whole entire week.
I'm very jealous.
Yes, I thought I'd miss them, but FaceTime. Nope. No.
Thank goodness for technology.
Yeah. You hear them screaming in the background and fighting with each other when you're talking with one, and I'm like, yep, that's it. Bye.
Bye.
Gotta go.
That's all I needed.
Yep.
Plus, you got some time with her husband.
Yeah.
All alone.
Yeah. Took
That's
a little
always
trip.
good. Yeah. I've been carting Blake to school with me all week, which has been not fun.
Yeah.
Also, daylight savings time, not fun.
Not fun.
Not fun.
Yeah. I was up super early.
I'm not a fan of losing an hour of sleep.
No, I'm not either. But I was up early. Like, early.
Yeah. Like 3 a.m. or whatever.
For some reason.
I am a fan of the hour of sunlight. Like the extra sunlight at the end of the day.
Yes.
Yesterday when we got home from pickups, I put the sprinkler underneath the trampoline because it was warm.
Yeah.
It was like summer.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
It's already summer.
Yeah.
We're thinking of going to the rodeo tomorrow to finally become real Texans.
Yeah. We went 2 years ago, right? When it was the week that COVID hit, that they shut everything down. I think it was like the day after or something
you guys went.
that we went. And so it wasn't very crowded, and I don't know, it just wasn't very fun.
Oh, really?
But I think it was because of the COVID time. It was like, nobody knew what was happening.
Did you guys go to like the rodeo part or
no,
just
we
the
didn't
carnival
go to
part?
just the carnival part.
Okay.
So no, we haven't been to the rodeo. I guess we're not true Texans.
Get it together.
Right?
So yeah, we're thinking about doing that.
That'll be fun.
Did you hear that, talking about daylight savings time, that they passed the sunshine something bill
No, I didn't hear
to
that.
keep us on daylight savings time so we don't go back to standard time?
They did pass it?
It's not fully passed. It
No.
passed the Senate.
Okay.
Don't get political with me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
It passed one of them.
Right.
Some section of our politicians could all agree that they could come together for the thing Americans hate most.
Yes.
Daylight savings time.
It's true.
And so that makes me excited because it would be like we would do the fall one this year, the spring one next year, and then never again.
Yeah.
Which is like,
wow.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because once like a few days in or a weekend, you get used to it.
Yeah, you're totally fine.
And then I'm cool with keeping the extra hour.
I like the extra hour of light at the end of the day.
I know a lot of people are like, well, kids going to school in the morning need sunlight. And like, I guess I get that to a certain point, but like, how early are kids going to school? Like 6 a.m.?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I was going to say it's...
Even drop off at 8. There's their son.
Yeah, there's drop off. I drop off Avery at 7:30.
Yeah.
It's light outside.
Ours is 8.
Yeah.
So like, that to me seems like a reasonable amount of time, but I guess we're just one small school district in this gigantic state and gigantic country, so can't speak for every person.
Can't speak for all of us.
And really stupidly, does having daylight savings time affect how long years are? Like, don't those hours add up or no? Am I just dumb?
I don't know.
So you're dumb too.
I'm dumb too. I don't do math in my head. We know this.
How many times do I have to tell you I don't have the answer for that?
No.
No, but like...
Yeah, I don't know.
Wouldn't those hours
But then we
add up?
No,
because if you're not decreasing anymore...
Right. I don't know. No, because there's still 24 hours in a day.
Because there's still 24 hours in a day. I'm just being dumb about it, right?
Yeah. You're just... I don't know. You're thinking way too into this.
Can we edit all of that out? Because I don't want anyone to hear that thought.
Sure.
Sure. No, we're not going to edit that. I know it's not going anywhere. Everyone's going to know. My stupidest question I've ever had.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
All right.
Are you ready to?
Yeah. What are we talking about tonight?
So tonight, I'm not talking about straight murder. There is murder. but I'm going to start talking a little bit about, like, conspiracies.
Okay.
So specifically we're going to be talking about QAnon.
Okay.
Are you familiar?
Not really.
Okay. So I'm going to give...
heard of it.
Who hasn't?
Yeah.
I think it's impossible to not have heard of it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go super deep into it simply because I would be here for 42 years trying to talk about all of the factions and the breakaways and, like, the branches of that tree where it's just, there's so much.
Okay.
There's so much. So I'm just going to kind of do, like, a brief overview of what QAnon is, how it started, and then talk a little bit about, like, the real world consequences for that specific, like, conspiracy theory. Okay?
Yep. Got it.
To start, I want to say that I don't personally believe in any QAnon conspiracy theories. Just like I don't believe in many conspiracy theories.
I'm not really a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, like theorist. I'm not conspiracy theory like oriented. I don't know if that's the right term to use, but it's not something like I'm not suspicious. I don't know.
Right.
There are things that I think do get covered up that we don't know about.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe I just don't take the time to fully care about things.
No, they're covered up for a reason. We don't need to know.
But, like, like, there's the conspiracy theory that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. And, like, I kind of believe that one.
Right.
And so, like...
Yeah.
But then, like, do I think that the moon landing was faked? No. But also, I think that those kinds of conspiracy theories, like the moon landing being faked, or, like, some other, like, minor ones, don't have the same sort of consequences.
Right.
That QAnon has.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a big distinction of, like, how dangerous it is to me. So I don't personally believe in them. I find it to be dangerous, obviously, but I'm not going to mock or belittle or make fun of people who do believe them. So I'm not going to say things like, that's crazy, they're crazy, like those kinds of things. Just because I don't think it's helpful, it doesn't move the conversation in, like, a meaningful way.
Right.
And I just want to lay that out.
Okay.
Before I get started, that, like, some things that I'm going to say are, you want to laugh at them because it's like, how can you even believe, like, how can a person believe something like that? But, like, these people do believe that.
They do.
I know people who believe that.
Yeah.
Who are close to me.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Like, so many people have lost family from QAnon.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
So, it's really just, like, dangerous and so damaging. So, now that I've fully disclosed and talked about all of that, QAnon, or Q, it's a conspiracy theory that first originated on internet message board 4chan.
Okay.
Which...
I've never heard of that.
I've heard of it, but I don't really know, like...
I have no idea.
I've never been on it. It's like, I don't really know, like, what it is, but it's like a forum board, I guess, where, like, people just, like, message back and forth, but, like, I can't go into more specific than that.
Right.
It started in October of 2017. My understanding, and from what I've read of the conspiracy, is that it's primarily a right-wing, like, Trump-supporting conspiracy.
Okay.
So it started, the theory centered around Donald Trump saving the U.S. from child exploitation cabal of left-wing politics and world elite.
Okay.
So...
Not quite sure what that means.
So, like... Donald Trump is saving the world from all the bad people who are trying to kill and sex traffic and exploit children.
Okay.
Is essentially, like, if we're breaking it down. But then it's, like, there's so much more to it. But, like, it's just that, like, there's this, like, new world order that's trying to take over.
Yes.
And, like...
I get that. Okay. No, not going to say it.
We're how many minutes into this? The early days of QAnon were focused primarily on Hillary Clinton's arrest from, like, Pizzagate. Do you know what Pizzagate is?
Pizzagate? No.
No?
Do
Okay.
I not know what Pizzagate is?
I can tell you a little bit about it.
Tell me a little bit.
You might remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so Pizzagate, remember what we said about being respectful?
Okay.
So Pizzagate was the now debunked conspiracy that stated that at Comet Pizza in D.C., there was a child sex trafficking and, like, child sex trafficking ring happening by Washington elite in the basement of this pizza place.
Oh. Okay, I don't think I've heard of that.
So it's just a regular pizza place.
Right.
But do you remember when there was, like, Hillary's emails or, like,
yes,
John Podesta?
I do remember that.
So they had, like, there's some documentaries about this that go into way more depth, but the emails had, like, mentioned Comet Pizza because politicians in the area would have, like, fundraisers and events at this pizza place.
Okay. It was a well-known...
Yeah, but it's not, like, anything other than, like,
a pizza
just
place.
a restaurant.
Yeah.
So it's just a restaurant.
Yeah.
A few months after the conspiracies that, like, the Pizzagate conspiracy started, a father from South Carolina drove to D.C. and entered the restaurant with a rifle. He fired 3 shots in the restaurant. He hit, like, the front desk, a wall, and so he didn't hit any people.
Oh, good.
He was looking for the basement to free the children that were in the basement.
Okay.
But the building doesn't have a basement.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So, yeah.
There's other ways you can go about doing that. Just
but it's
checking.
Like, again, like, it's just how all-consuming this becomes for people.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that, like, hyper-focus where it's like to me it feels like cult-like mind control.
Yeah. I
think
it is. Cult-like mind control.
Just to go back a little bit, the early days of QAnon also were primarily focused on Hillary Clinton's arrest following Pizzagate and George Soros, a Jewish Democratic political donor.
Okay.
So that's kind of where they started. A lot of QAnon, as you go more into, like, 4chan and 8chan and all of those message and, like, forum boards, gets really, like, at its heart, it's just, like, an anti-Semitic.
Yeah. I know nothing about those.
Yeah. Just like an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Where, like, all the world elites are Jews who are trying to keep everyone else down. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
So, yeah, that's kind of just, like, a little background on what QAnon is.
Okay.
Again, there is so much.
Yeah.
There's so much. So, there's been a few different sort of, like, murders, crimes, things like that as a result of people who believe in QAnon.
Of course.
Most notably, I think, is, like, the insurrection that happened. You're watching.
Time to stand.
Time to stand. Bitch, stand up. I hate when mine does that. I'm like, okay, stop it. You're being rude. Don't tell me how to live my life.
Seriously.
I want to sit down. There's a lot of QAnon supporters were at the insurrection on January 6th.
Okay.
So, like,
that makes sense.
There's the one guy who had, like, the horns.
Yeah.
He's, like, a known QAnon person. There's also just, like, a faction of this where people think that, I have to add this.
Yeah.
People think that JFK is not dead.
Yeah.
And that...
He gone.
And that there's, like, this QAnon supporter that is JFK.
Mm-hmm.
And they, like, show up. There's so much. Like, there's so much, Mel. There's so much. There's so much. I could do 52 hours of talking about QAnon.
Yeah.
I won't, though.
No, don't do that.
But I could. So.
We would totally have to upgrade our plan.
Just an entire year, this podcast just slowly turns into me talking about QAnon every day. Okay. It won't. I promise. I'm going to talk about now one particular event that happened as a result of someone who believed in QAnon that is particularly sad. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. On August 7th, 2021, Matthew Taylor Coleman, a surf instructor and surf school business owner from Santa Barbara, California, abruptly and unexpectedly left his home where he and his wife were packing up their Sprinter van for a camping trip. Matthew left his home with his 2 children, a 2-year-old boy and a 10-month-old girl. He drove away without car seats for his children.
Ooh.
Yeah. On this day and at this time, his wife did not file a missing persons report, despite Coleman not answering any texts or calls. She did...
Nope. I'm sorry. That happened. I'm straight to... Please check.
I don't want to, blame her.
No. I'm not blaming her.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just,
you didn't text me back one day and I almost did, please
Me?
check. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
You did?
Or, yeah, I was like, I gotta call the police and do a welfare check because she's not texting me back. It's been 12 hours.
I'm just a piece of shit.
No, that's just the way my mind works. So
100% of the time, I picked up my phone, I looked at it, I saw the text, and I mentally went, reply to Mal, and then I set my phone down.
Yep.
And then I picked up my phone again 12 hours later and said, never replied to Mal, reply now.
No, I just remember there was this one day and I was like, maybe I should do a welfare check on her.
Should I just drive by her house real quick? See if she's home?
See if she's home? I don't know where she works, so that would be hard. But
I could internet sleuth and find enough of this, I'm sure. Or you could always try calling. I would probably pick up. That could have been your first.
That's true. I go straight from 0 to 100. Oh,
she didn't text back to my one text message? Time to get the cops.
Time to get the cops involved.
Yeah, imagine calling the cops. They're like, so did you try calling her?
No.
No.
She just didn't respond to one of my texts.
Oh, okay. I'm just laughing still.
Yeah.
So she did call the Santa Barbara Police Department, but chose to wait for his return before filing a missing persons report.
Okay.
So I think in her mind, her kids are with their father.
Right.
While they don't have car seats.
That's the only thing that makes me think I would maybe do something a little bit more than just wait.
Yeah. And
especially with a 10-month-old.
Yours telling you to stand up. Mine wants me to take a moment to breathe. Leave me alone. Apple. Let me live my life. I can't breathe. In these conditions of how the world is right now, you want me to breathe? Honey, I haven't breathed since 2020.
Seriously.
Oh. So she stated that she believed he would return home shortly and had no reason to doubt her children's safety.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's been some text messages that have been released from their last encounter of their last talkings to, which I'm not going to get super into that, but I don't know. It makes it hard to know what she really believed and what she didn't.
Right.
That night at around 8 p.m., Matthew checks into a hotel in Rosarito, Mexico, which is 30 minutes-ish south of Tijuana.
Okay.
So he went from Santa Barbara to San Diego to 30 minutes south of TJ.
Okay.
With both of his children. Both of his children are alive. They're well.
Right.
At check-in.
Okay.
Seen on security footage.
Yeah.
The following day, on August 8th, at around 7 p.m., Matthew's wife calls the Santa Barbara Police Department again, and an officer visits their home. I have okay. She files a formal missing persons report for Matthew and the children. At this time, the officer suggested trying to use Find My Phone, the location services, to see if they could get an idea of where he was.
Mm-hmm.
when she checks, the last known location for his phone was in Rosarito, Mexico, around 2:30 p.m.
Okay.
Given that their last known location was in Mexico, the case is immediately handed over to the FBI.
Right.
The FBI notifies authorities at the U.S.-Mexico border in San Diego to be on the outlook to Bolo for Coleman and his children crossing back into the U.S.
Okay.
So during this time, though, like, she is texting with her husband, which there's, like, messages that, again, I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So there's communication between them. It's not just full radio silence.
Right.
Just something to remember.
Okay.
At around 3 a.m. on August 9th, so we're now like 2 days since they left, Coleman is seen on surveillance footage leaving the hotel in Rosarito with bags and his children. So the children are still
alive.
Good and alive.
Okay.
About 3 hours later, Coleman is seen on surveillance footage at the hotel again, this time without his children present.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like 6:30 in the morning. An hour later at 7:30, the bodies of 2 children were found by dogs on a nearby ranch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The bodies had dozens of stab wounds. His son was stabbed 17 times and his daughter was stabbed 12. There was a wooden stake found close to the bodies. The person who found the bodies immediately called the police. And 2 hours after the bodies were found, Coleman checks out of the hotel and begins driving to the U.S. border entry in Tijuana.
Okay. So now he's coming back home?
Yes. So, yeah, he sadly, like, murdered them with a spearfishing, like, gun.
Yeah. That's sad.
So many times, too.
Yeah. I don't know how you stab a 12 or 10-month-old 12 times. Where? They're not big enough.
I don't know how you do that to your, like, I hate cases with kids.
Yeah.
It seriously, like, makes me want to cry.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime there's, like, any sort of, like, child abuse or child being killed, like, especially by their parents, though, you know? Like, that person, that little 2-year-old, that 10-month-old, you're their safety.
Yeah.
For
that's all they know.
That's all they know for their entire life.
Yeah.
Is you as, like, their home base and their home.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, like, I can't. Like, imagining the fear.
Yeah.
Of, like, what's going on. Like, I just hope I hope that the kids were killed quickly.
Yeah.
Like, obviously the ideal is that they're not.
Yeah.
Like, this never happens, but, like, it did, and I hope the first one was the one that, like, killed them, and they didn't suffer. You know?
Yeah.
It's just, seriously, like, it makes me want to cry. I hate pizza cakes, and why do I do that? Okay. So he starts driving back towards TJ. At 1 p.m. on the same day, August 9th, he attempts to re-enter the U.S. from the San Ysidro border crossing, which is, like, right at the San Diego border. Border Patrol agents noted that Coleman was alone, so the kids are not present, obviously, and searched his vehicle. They found blood on his registration paperwork, which caused them to alert the FBI. And I'm like, even if there wasn't blood on the registration paperwork,
right,
they should have alerted the FBI still.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not their job.
For sure. Mexican authorities also notified the FBI of the 2 young bodies found earlier that day, and that the children found matched a description of Coleman's children. So there had been, like, no confirmation, but it's easy to put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
Matthew is taken into an inspection room and read his Miranda rights by an FBI agent. This is all, like, at that same day, same time. Even though he's read his Miranda rights, he chooses to speak with the feds in a recorded interview. At this time, he confesses to murdering his children. He goes into detail about the reasons for murdering his children, which is really hard to believe, but is where QAnon comes into all of this. Mm-hmm. So he said that he killed his children because of QAnon conspiracies, and that he believed that his wife, and Illuminati, not just QAnon, so both.
Okay.
And he believed that his children had half serpent DNA passed to them by his wife, and that he had to kill them in order to save the world. So that's where, like, the real world effects of this conspiracy sort of come from.
Okay. Was he going back to kill his wife then?
You don't know. It's nothing ever says that that was his intention.
Okay.
Yeah, and as you read through more stuff about him and, like, how deep he was into this mindset.
Yeah.
Like, his friends say that he spent hours on these message boards reading conspiracies every day.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know. I just think, like, what if that was my husband? You know? Like, what would I do?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just...
That would be hard.
It's hard because it's like, you hope that that's not what they really believe,
right?
You know?
Of course.
A lot of other people, like people who knew him, they say things like he would like toy around and like test the waters and like introduce these sorts of conspiracies to people, but then be like, no, like, I don't know if I actually believe that.
Right.
And like that sort of stuff. So it was like people weren't so alerted because he wasn't being like, I believe this 110%, you can never change my mind on it. Right. You know, it was like, maybe. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
Anyway, so since this, he's been indicted, he's in prison, and his case actually does make him eligible for the death penalty.
Good.
There's no there's no real trial or anything because he admitted to it. Yeah, so that's kind of that case.
Wow. That's really sad.
There's like a few, I mean, there's a few more. There's a man in Michigan who shot his wife in the head because QAnon conspiracy. He told him that she was like a CIA agent trafficking children and needed to die.
Wow. To believe people that you just met, essentially, over someone that you love and cherish or are supposed to is... Yeah, that's a lot.
It's just like, where are you mentally to like be able to have so much doubt and suspicion with the world that we live in, where you're able to be willing to like accept these things as truth.
Yeah.
You know, like I know that that's a lot of words and maybe that doesn't make sense, but that's like the only way I can describe it. Like,
it does make sense.
I feel like you have to be in the right, not the right, but like you have to have a certain mindset to look at something and be like, I'm willing to take this as truth.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And so those are just like 2 cases, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know how many other there are, but
I'm sure hundreds.
It's so sad because, like, also, how do you stop it from spreading? You don't know who's doing it.
Especially now.
It's one
Internet.
person. It's online. I mean, it could be more than one person. It's online. It's, like, it's spread through social media. There was so many things last summer or a few summers ago about, like the Wayfair child sex trafficking,
where
I remember that. The items, they were putting children in items and shipping them because
chests
they were
and things that the chests cost like $18,000 instead of like $1,800.
So I listened to a podcast, one of my favorite podcasts ever, called You're Wrong About that, Kate, about Wayfair specifically. And what they found was that a lot of those sellers on Wayfair, if you mark your items as out of stock, you get penalized.
Oh.
And so they would raise the prices, these astronomical prices, so people wouldn't try to buy things.
Right.
And they didn't have to list it as out of stock.
Well, that makes sense. Such a simple answer.
It's not even like... And that episode goes so much more into depth and detail about, like, truly how few people are being, like... I don't want to say few because that sounds wrong, but, like, it's not this ridiculous, like the claims that are made where it's like 17 million children in the U.S. go missing every year. It's like, no, they don't.
Yeah.
Like that at its face is not true. And so it's sad to watch people just not have any idea of like fact checking or trying to take something and say like, okay, let me see if I can find 3 more reputable sources that say the same thing. You know, but then there's the mistrust of the mainstream media, which I'm not going to say is totally without warrant.
No, for sure. I mean, even just Googling it, you never know.
Well, you never know. And so for people who like get their news through Facebook, like some people I know.
Yeah. Millennials.
No, they see something that says like Kamala Harris is only becoming vice president because she sucked someone's dick. Yeah. Like they see that and they're like, that must be true.
Yep.
You know, like there's no sort of fact checking or anything like that. And I think that's a big thing with what I've experienced personally and what a lot of people talk about experiencing with their families that are part of believing in QAnon conspiracies is like when you try to fact check, when you try to like open that dialogue, they just get angry.
Yeah.
Because they feel like you're saying they're stupid or something.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like this really fine line of being like, maybe this is okay. Or not even maybe this is okay, but like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, to talk about it in a way that makes them not get defensive.
Yeah.
But then there's
no way to do that.
It's so difficult. It's so difficult. It's just such a horrible, sad thing. And the saddest part is like these kids who have no life now. The woman who has nothing, you know?
Yeah. Her children are gone. Her husband is gone.
And it's just like, what's the answer? Like, how do you stop it?
Yeah.
You know? How do you stop it?
Yeah. I don't know.
That's QAnon.
Huh. Good job.
A small amount of QAnon. I could talk about this for a long time. A long time. Like, there's so much.
Yeah, I know.
There's so much. There's this guy from Australia who, sorry, again, I can talk about this forever. There's this guy from Australia, and I can't remember his name right now, and he used to be super into QAnon. And then he just stopped following it because he sort of saw like the holes in their drops, or like cube comms, I think is what they call them. So he started seeing those holes in there and was like, okay, this is obviously like bullshit.
Yeah.
So he has like an entire podcast that he does on QAnon, but the one I listened to him about, he said that he used QAnon to connect with his dad, and now he doesn't speak to his dad. Mm-hmm. Or he does still speak to his dad, but they cannot talk about anything political, anything like this. Because his dad still believes it.
Yeah.
So he brought it to his dad, and his dad was like, oh, like, yeah, that all makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, like, now the relationship is so strained, you know?
Yeah, that's that.
I remember I used to have this neighbor who believed, like, all kinds of crazy conspiracies, and one of them was, like, something about gray matter, and, like, the whole world is made out of gray matter. Just, like, crazy.
I don't know that one either.
Or, like, the flat earthers. Like, there's so many. Yeah. There's so many. The lizard people.
Yep.
The Illuminati.
Yep.
I'm just not a conspiracy-minded person.
I don't have the time to think about any of that.
I just don't. I don't
care
to
think about any of that.
I don't see the reasoning in, like, what sort of benefit there would be for NASA to tell us that the Earth isn't round.
Right.
Or that the Earth isn't flat.
Right.
Like, what is the incentive there?
There's none.
What is the incentive? Like, is it to control us? Like NASA does nothing in my life daily, day to day. You know, like, the motivation behind it and, like, what is that?
Yeah.
I can understand some other ones about, like, mainstream media and those kinds of things.
Of course.
Like, there is so much bias in what you find and what you get, regardless of what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Even if it's like, when we research these cases sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, okay, I did hours upon hours upon hours of research. So either I'm horrible at this or it's just being presented in a way that isn't accurate.
Yeah.
You know, like the Stephanie Crow case we talked about where, like, there was things about her parents that were never mentioned.
Yeah.
That could change the way that things are perceived, you know?
Yep.
And it's just like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why? Or, like, there's also a lot of damaging things that happen with the media where they present stuff first. Like, they have to be the first one, and then
it's wrong.
And then it's wrong, and it's damaging. I think about that a lot with, like, the Las Vegas mass shooting, the Harvest Festival or whatever it was called. I can't think of the name of it right now, but Root, whatever.
I remember what you're talking about.
There was so much misinformation when everything's happening, and it's like, I get it, things are chaotic, but, like, maybe don't be the first.
Yeah. Take a step back.
Yeah, like, you don't have to be the first one to post. Like, it's such a weird, damaging, like, toxic sort of, I don't know, like, culture or something where, like, gotta post first.
Yep.
There was that, I'm sorry, I can talk about this forever. There was that Netflix show with Adrian Grenier. Did you ever see it? Where, oh my God, he gets, like, abducted. Spoilers. And there's, like, all the media are outside of his house, and it's, like, this huge media frenzy. And he, like, gets abducted and murdered by someone in a van.
No, I don't recognize that one.
Adrian Gray. Hold on. Let me just try and find it. Netflix. Clickbait is what it was called.
Oh.
On Netflix.
Yes, I did see that.
And so it was, like, him in front of that green screen, right? And he, like, worked at the college. And the lady that worked there was the one who was doing it with her husband. Remember?
Yes.
That was a crazy
That
show.
was a crazy show.
Yeah. But I think about, remember the reporter who, like, pretends to be the delivery driver and, like, goes in their home? I think about that when I think about, like, the media. It's like, to me, that's disgusting.
It is disgusting.
It's disgusting. Like,
yeah, there's nothing they won't do.
It's awful. And it's, maybe there's, like, no journalistic integrity. I don't know. It's crazy. But anyways, that's QAnon. I'm just gonna, I could talk about this for 1,000 years.
Okay, we'll stop here.
You're like, please shut up, Chanel. Shut up. No one cares. I care.
You care. We all care.
The only one who cares. No, I'm just kidding.
We all care. That's why we're here.
There's a guy who's, like, does work specifically on, like, debunking QAnon. And I was listening to him on a podcast. Sorry. I was listening to him on a podcast, and his last name is Rothschild, and, like, a lot of it's anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
And so he was like, yeah, when they see my last name, it's, yeah. Anyways. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. And you can find us on all the socials at The Murder Mamas.
On Instagram,
Twitter, Facebook at The M Mamas.
Murder's not allowed.
Murder's not allowed on Facebook.
Justice information.
And email us at themurdermamas@gmail.com for any cases or if you want to talk with us about anything.
Absolutely. And give us your thoughts if you know anyone who's been affected by QAnon.
Yeah.
I would love to talk about this.
That would be interesting
for
to hear.
1,000 years.
Yeah.
Someone else please talk about it so Mel doesn't have to listen to me talk about it anymore. She would appreciate it. Times a million.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.